Now, will this woman be, this is what we get out of, how many of these teachers in the union are white? A lot. A lot. And it's the rankest anti-whiteism that you could ever find. They're getting at the children. The head of one of the nation's largest teachers' unions is back to calling conservatives fascists and authoritarians and making comparisons to Nazis just day after Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk was assassinated. President of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Antiwhite Weingarten, that's what they know her back in her beer bonging college days, right? Ran an excerpt of her new book, quote, Why Fascists Fear Teachers, Public Education and the Future of Democracy. Now you want to know. By the way, it's written in Rolling Stone, that CIA outfit. Maybe it used to, they used to say it was one of the one, Newsweek and a couple of them. That's how they communicated to the masses who the leaders are. You'll never see Rolling Stone or Newsweek or the others talk about me and this community until they actually fear us. And then it'll be an effort to try to destroy, defame, etc., rather than these puff pieces that just talk about, like Richard Spencer or Nick Fuentes, to tell everybody, there's your leader now if you're going to resist the regime. Public education in the future. So now you know why they want the phones out of the classroom. Now you know why. I mean, you had the one, this is in the US, but you had the one we played in during the quick news up in Canada, showing the assassination to 10-year-olds over and over, and then giving this anti-white speech in class. A fascist is just another word for a white person who isn't anti-white enough. That's all it is. The article airs her often trot out claims, painting concerned parents and conservatives as fascists for cracking down on DEI material. So anti-whiteism. Don't repeat DEI. And pornography in schools. Anti-whiteism. Is it a norm? Is that normal for the white race to say to their children, hey, here's some hardcore porn, come over here. I got some of the good stuff. It's the hardest core of porn. What are you, 5? Perfect. My friend Zen will really appreciate this. Then you got the other woman and she's like, well, look, you can go to the parade and you could be naked. All of you 7-year-olds. If that were a norm for white people, then anti-whiteism wouldn't have been tearing down those barriers, right? They wouldn't have been saying, oh, we got to, at first, what were they saying for the sex ed? Well, you have this number of out of wedlock children, this number of sexually transmittable diseases, and that just can't be tolerated. So we got to get in there and tell the kids about sex. Yeah, we got to tell them. And then, of course, as soon as white people fell for that, why did they fall for it, by the way? This community knows. Why did they fall for it? Because that norm was not owned by the white people who were supposed to defend it. It was just an abstraction that is the tragedy of the commons. So you can be talked out of it. You can be easily talked out of it. And that's what happened. They were talked out of the norm of not sexualizing children. And so they got in there. And what happened to the out of wedlock births and STD rates? Well, you can look at the data. Why wasn't it immediately repealed? Because it was never honestly done to lower those cases. It was done to white erase our norm. Of course, in my opinion, you'll have to get the ears of many and hear from others and what they have to say and form your own opinion. But here we have the anti-whites and unions. So an important connection here, isn't it? When you're anti-white, like Zen, when you are among the anti-whites, you have a single focus, and you can, in a split second, operate on that single focus without having any knowledge about a specific assassination or a specific policy change. No need to have spoken with these people ahead of time. You can just act on it because of that single focus. We looked at the Jews. And because of the single focus of the well-being of Jewish people in a percentage of the Jewish population, which is a very noble thing to do, they can get upset to the point of using the same language that they use for those they say attempted to exterminate them, use that exact same language for those who aren't giving them adequate enough awards. And then you get to unions full of white people. How do they act? Do they have a focus on the white race? Do they push back on the anti-whiteism from the leadership? Do they create their own unions, their own white positive unions, to protect white children from the filth and attacks of anti-whiteism, articulating them as such? No, because that's not their focus. They don't have a people. They are mercenaries to be used by whoever can manipulate their vegetabilized brains. You're not going to get to any substantive difference in the plight of Western kind without a focus on us rather than others, on us rather than abstractions. You are welcome. You all might have seen this, a beautiful white couple walking through Washington, D.C. with their stunning little girl. Washington, D.C. today, not prior to Trump taking over. And the kind of harassment, anti-white harassment they just had to deal with. I listened to this. I responded to this guy directly, encouraging him to call it anti-whiteism. He made subsequent videos where he still didn't call it anti-whiteism. I hope he and his wife will. I think they have 4 other children. They didn't have them with them, thank God. But we need him to be using anti-whiteism, and we need to be talking about what happened to him and his wife and daughter with a focus on us, not a focus on the black guy. We got M. Mac. Focus on us, brother. Focus on us. Focusing on other groups leads nowhere but to perdition for Western kind. We need a people. We need a people, and we need them yesterday. So as a consequence of not having a people, we have this.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past. And now they're going to put him under arrest.
Now, at that point, if a guy says he wants to murder the baby, what can we in this community know instantly? What's the one thing? We don't need to know anything else. White couple walking down the road with their little white baby, and somebody comes up and says, I want to murder your baby and your wife or whatever. We instantly know he's anti-white. His race is irrelevant. We don't need to know it. What matters is that he's anti-white. Even if he's crazy, he's still anti-white. If Jewish people can call not getting enough awards anti-Semitic, then we can say that everyone who wants to kill white people is anti-white. Everybody who's saying, I want to kill your white baby, is anti-white. No one else would have this correct by way of a formula. It would be a guess on what the percentage likelihood is of Washington, D.C., and etc. For example, if it were to happen in Bangkok, if they were in Bangkok and they said, hey, this guy came up and said, I'm going to kill your white baby, your effing white baby. Well, we would still be 100% correct, wouldn't we? But the anti-black folks out there, they might not get that one right. They won't know who could this be. Could it be a black guy in Bangkok? Who could it be? We would still be right. The formula that never has to change.
He said, I'm going to murder your white baby.
Yeah.
Just sickening.
He literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past.
So we're going to press charges.
He said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be?
It's not just people. How sick can anti-whites be? And they can be sick enough to shoot someone in the throat with their children standing there. That's how sick they can be. They can be sick enough to celebrate that spectacle, that sanguinary spectacle. That's how sick. So they'll kill your baby. You have a white baby, they'll kill the child. That's how sick. We need this good white family here using that lens.
This is disgusting.
Disgusting.
I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and are dealing with the guy. I cannot believe this right now. Don't bring your kids down here. It's not safe.
Don't bring your kids to D.C.
Not safe at all.
Look at how beautiful and innocent and tiny this little white baby is. Again, look at the difference between a white positive focus and an anti-black focus. Their anti-black focus ends when they see a black guy. It's the same way when they see a Jew somewhere. Oh, it's a Jew. Oh, it's a black guy. That's it. Our thinking is for the white man, the white woman, and the little white baby. And how do we prevent this from happening in the future? And we have the tools to do that. So there are clearly doers and don'ters. There are clearly doers and vegetables, losers. And this post here even says a black man. What unbelievable use man here. I that's another thing growing up that I despised. It was always a white guy or a black man. You walked up to a white couple in DC and said, I'm going to kill your white baby and wife. Yeah, he started off in a later video, subsequent video. First thing he said was, I'm gonna kill the white bitch of yours or whatever, and I'm gonna kill that white baby. So the focus is literally, they're saying, he's literally saying, it's all about you being white. Only white people would then say, damn enter. Jews would get this right. I mean, you don't give them enough awards. And it's practically the Holocaust, same language, in other words. Anti-Semitism, Holocaust, anti-Semitism, not getting enough awards. The words that they are using. You can listen to me now, or you can wish you had when this is happening to you. But they'll actually be killing your white ass. Horrible scenario here. Elderly white couple had a knock at the door, and they answered the door, and this anti-white was standing outside saying he wanted to charge his phone up. And this white couple, afflicted with white guilt, anti-whiteisms, meme pathogens, didn't want to discriminate against him, didn't want to show their fear or their concern for this strange request from a fully grown adult male. Plug your phone up in my house. Are you crazy? So instead, they decided to welcome him in with warm amity. And he tied the old man up in the basement and stabbed him a bunch of times, took the old woman upstairs, white couple, and raped her, then set the house on fire to kill them both, burning alive. stabbed. This is anti-whiteism. If your response to this is damn enter, it means you don't do anything about this. You don't want to do anything about this. You're not doing anything about this. And we don't have time for you. Get lost. Absolutely. These kinds of things are happening every day. And I don't understand. Maybe it's, certain white people have empathy for our brothers and sisters. And maybe we're a smaller percentage of that within the white race than the percentages of those people, of other peoples who care for their peoples. I don't know. Maybe this is a great filtering taking place. Because if you're not saying to it's easy to say, enter and then walk away. You don't live around him. You don't live in the ghetto. You don't live in it's a very different situation when you hear about this and this stabs you in the heart for what the white people went through. And then you're occupied with, we've got to stop this. We've got to stop this. Let me implement the tools that are working to prevent this from happening anymore. In their name, for their sake. Those are two very different kinds of people. And I think, ultimately in this bottleneck, it might be that a lot of these selfish, individualistic white people are going to not make it through genetically. And that'll be a good thing. Because as you can see, they're useless as turds. They are useless. Unless you live in some countries where they use turds for firewood and building homes and all kinds of stuff like that. How about this little article titled, must-read STDs in LA County are skyrocketing. And the officials say racism. So in other words, white people are responsible. White people. This won't end. I mean, this could be talked about forever as well. Of course, they're going to be able to make an argument. They're going to be able to give excuses for why it's white people's fault that so many non-white people and sexually eccentric people of all races are coming down with tons of STDs. Of course, they'll be able to make. Why would you heed a single argument? My conservative brothers and sisters out there. How about this one? White guy on a train allowed himself to have the shit beaten out of him by a non-white female because she said she didn't like the way that he looked at her. So he allowed himself, what is going on, cuck? I can guarantee you, no black guy is going to allow some psycho woman to beat the piss out of him. Only a phenomenon that you find in a race that doesn't have a people.